Nancy Cordes is in Manchester, New Hampshire, and she joins us now. Nancy, Hillary Clinton has been on the attack against Bernie Sanders, and former President Bill Clinton has referred to Sanders' supporters as sexist. Could that negativity backfire with voters today?
It could, because they almost went from 0 to 60 here in New Hampshire. You know, before they got to New Hampshire, they were sort of treating Bernie Sanders as something of a flash in the pan, an irritant, and they took the longer view that they would be successful in the end. But I think after he nearly tied with Hillary Clinton in Iowa, they sort of realized, okay, wait a minute, we got to strike back. And they struck back really, really hard. You heard Hillary Clinton all week saying, stop the smears and the innuendo, and Bill Clinton, as you mentioned, calling some of Sanders' supporters sexist when, first of all, Sanders can't really control what some supporters say online, and second of all, people of all stripes tend to say nasty things online, not just Sanders supporters. So I do think that for New Hampshire voters, some of these attacks seem to kind of come out of nowhere overnight. It could be a turnoff. On the other hand, perhaps this Clinton message is going to break through the fact that, yes, she took Wall Street donations, but so do most candidates. And she's been arguing very, very powerfully that it hasn't affected any votes that she has cast in the Senate, and it hasn't affected any of her proposals either.
So in a new CNN poll, Nancy, 15% of likely Democratic voters said that they were still undecided going into Election Day. Now, we know that Bernie Sanders enjoys a significant lead in many of the polls, but we also know sometimes the polls get it wrong. Is there a possibility we may see this whole thing flip on its head and Hillary comes out with a win or maybe a very tight finish?
Mm-hmm. It's always possible, but, the polls have been pretty consistently showing him with a 15, 20, 25-point lead here in New Hampshire. So all 15%, Anne Marie, of those undecided voters would all have to break Hillary Clinton's way for her to catch up to him in the polls. Now, she did make up a huge deficit here 8 years ago. It wasn't as big of a deficit as she experiences today. And you saw when we encountered her here at this polling place earlier this morning, I asked her, are you predicting a comeback? You think you can close the gap? And she just wouldn't go there. She said, I'm thanking people. I haven't spoken to anyone in her campaign who thinks that they can be victorious here tonight.
Nancy, according to the polls, Bernie Sanders has an edge with female voters in New Hampshire. I'm wondering if any of the voters you've spoken to took umbrage or didn't like the comments that former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright made about a special place in hell if you don't support women. Why is Bernie Sanders gaining so much traction with women and not Hillary?
He's leading by such a huge amount here in New Hampshire that he's got a very large lead among men and a smaller but significant lead among women as well. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, beat him by, I think, something like 8 points among women in Iowa. I've talked to women who are in two camps on the Madeleine Albright comment. Some of them, especially the ones I encountered at Hillary Clinton's events, said, look, this is something that Madeleine Albright has been saying for decades. It's kind of her tagline, She didn't mean anything by it. She wasn't trying to hurt anybody's feelings. And I've talked to some people at Bernie Sanders events who say, it didn't offend me, but I don't believe that I'm under any special obligation to vote for a woman just because I'm a woman. In fact, this is something I hear most strongly from young female voters who say, I'm a feminist, and because I'm a feminist, I believe that I have the right to vote for whoever I want to vote for, and I don't have to vote for the woman in this race.
Very interesting. All right, Nancy Cordes in New Hampshire. Thanks a lot, Nancy.
You're welcome.